What's the secret to success? We all ask this ourselves and everybody has different answers. Some people say you have to wake up early in the morning. Other people say you have to eat the right things, you have to go to the gym regularly, you have to work very hard, or you have to be very smart. Others simply just say you have to be lucky. What's really the success? I don't have a clear answer either. But I believe it's not just hard work. Right? It's not just hard work, it's not just smart work, because there's plenty of people that work hard and smart that don't necessarily reach their goals. Now, first of all, what's important is to define what success actually is. Right? Does success mean just earning more money every month? Or does it mean having a lot of money, as in saving a lot every month? Or does it mean something completely different, right? Does it mean having a lot of free time, having a lot of freedom, and only having to work maybe 1 or 2 hours per day, or maybe nothing at all? Or does it mean raising a family, right? Whatever your metric for success is, very often people say, if you simply just work very hard, if you simply just work very smart, you will reach your specific goal. But I don't think that's actually the entire picture. I don't think that just hard work and smart work is bringing everybody to their specific goals. Because what very often happens is that people say over-index on one area of their life, and then another area in their life completely falls into pieces, right? If you over-index on just earning a ton of money, but at the same time you also want to have a healthy family, but then you don't really have time for the family, you don't really have time for your spouse, then in the end what happens? You become rich and you just give half of your money away and you continue working in the rabbit hole and you haven't really gained anything. You haven't really achieved your specific goal. And your specific goal is probably not just materialistic wealth. It's probably more diversified. Now here is what I believe is the most important factor to reach your specific success goal, your specific target. I believe the most important thing is curation of your environment. And in the real world, a lot of people have already nailed this down somewhat. In the virtual world, not so much. So what do I mean? There is the saying, you are the average of the 5 people around you. And I tend to agree with this. You might not necessarily have to be the average, but you can also be above all the people that are around you. But the people around you definitely influence you, right? If you've got only friends where their main goal is to retire early, then whenever you meet those friends, you're automatically going to talk about how to save money, right? I just saved money on rent because I moved to this specific part of the town, or I saved money on transportation because this car brand is specifically reliable, or I'm saving money on food because this is efficient ways to buy groceries. Those will be the kinds of topics that your friends will all talk about. And so automatically, simply just by being in this environment, you will save, you will think the same kind of things. Your thoughts will be around, should I buy this car? Should I move over there? As opposed to, let's say all your friends are the opposite. They don't necessarily think about retiring early, but they simply just work super, super hard in order to buy the expensive car. Then you will hear mainly talk about how can I work more hours, right? Or where can I get cheap cars, etc.
Here are the videos that work on YouTube. XRP will be $12,000 guaranteed, or an AI explosion, top 3 cryptos to buy in November. A lot of pushing of greed, that's what gets the clicks. What doesn't get the click is a tutorial on how to make backtests, on how to build those sheets that in the end figure out what historically worked well in the past. The backtest that I often show here on this channel. I still very much enjoy producing this kind of content though. I also share these kinds of sheets, but I don't do it on YouTube. You also get direct access to me. Feel free to check it out. It's thebitcoinstrategy.com.
So simply just by having the people around you that are aligned with your own goals, this will automatically propel you to the same goal, right? You have to do only half of the work because your environment is already doing the other half. So this is something I think a lot of people already understand. But in the online world, I don't think many people have this nailed down yet. Because what happens online, right? People simply scroll through Instagram, or people scroll through TikTok or YouTube Shorts. What happens over there, it's the algorithm that determines what you're going to watch. And the algorithm isn't necessarily selecting what's best for you in the long run. So I do believe that using online content can be beneficial, but it has to be done in the same way as in the real world. You don't just want to hang out with any random person. You don't just want to consume any random content. You want to be very specific about this. And what I personally do is, when I look at my homepage, right, at the landing page of YouTube, for example, I check what kind of videos actually bring value to me. And I don't necessarily always have the time to watch that video, right? If it's a very valuable podcast, for example, and it's maybe 1 or 2 hours in length, I will simply just bookmark this. And over time, I have a growing list of bookmarks that I aspire to watch at some point, and that is long-term potentially beneficial content for me. But I'm not just scrolling through YouTube Shorts all the time, because the scrolling will simply just distract you from your goals, right? You will start exploring new stuff, but that new stuff might not necessarily be aligned with what you actually have in mind, what you actually want. And so I don't think that the key to reaching any kind of goal is in waking up early, or it's in doing a lot of sport in the gym, or it's in working harder or smarter. Those kind of things help, right? It's not bad to have those things in place, because obviously when we are healthy, we've got more energy, we can put in more energy into our goal achievement. And so obviously those things are good, but they're not necessarily requirements. But what I do believe is a requirement is to get the right input, because this is how the world works, right? You get input from outside, from the people around you, or from the content that you consume online. You get input, then you've got your brain that does some processing over here, hopefully very good processing, because you got a lot of smart input in the past already. And then at some point you combine all of these things and you get an output, and that output might be a decision, that output might be some action that you're taking. But this is how it works on a very fundamental level, right? Input, processing, output. The problem is you can be super smart, you can be very good at processing. If the input that you're getting is trash, then how can you expect that the output will be great, right? If you get the wrong ingredients, then you can't bake the right cake, even if you really try very hard. So the input is, I believe, what makes the big difference. And being very, very conscious about this, curating this well, and saying no to a lot of content, be very selective, and bookmarking the content that might be useful long-term, I believe is the way to go. This is, I think, how we can all get a virtual mentor, right? By simply following the people that are most like us, that are most aligned with our goals, right? It might be that somebody that's hyper successful is good for some kind of advice, but might not be good for other kinds of advices. But at least when they're successful in one realm where you want to improve, it might make sense to at least consider that input. And then you can do your own processing, think about what kind of advice you actually want to realize in your own life. But it's way better to follow this than trying to come up with ideas yourself, right? If you've got somebody that already has some kind of positive feedback, that has some kind of positive track record, then why not listen to what those people have to say? But again, the majority of people, unfortunately, aren't successful, right? The majority of people do not reach their goals. And so if you're simply just scrolling randomly, the majority of content that you will get served will not be useful. You have to be picky in what you consume. The same way you're probably already picky with the people that you surround yourself with. So the way the offline world works probably already for you, it's the same way how online should work for you. Make online serve you. Consume the content by people that will bring you forward, and dismiss everything else. Don't get distracted by the rest, because the brain has only limited capacity. If you're already filling this up with half trash, and even if you've got the other half relatively well dialed in, the cake that comes out in the end might not be that good. So it's best to really be super, super selective and simply just dismiss everything that you believe will not bring you to the direction long-term where you actually want to be. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I appreciate it greatly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time. See you also in Telegram. There's a Telegram link down below. Feel free to join there. Looking forward to chatting with you. Cheers.